Okay, I said to a few people this morning that I would do a quick little 5-minute how to fix the SI joint a little bit, reset the SI joint a little bit, and maybe deal with a little bit of piriformis tightness issues that maybe lead to sciatic nerve issues shooting down your leg. Now, if these stretches and things you do not work to get some relief, it is time for you to go see a physical therapist or a massage therapist to release that area. Okay, so the first thing that I do have SI joint issues. They don't bother me much anymore because I'm usually right on top of things that happen. But the first thing that I do is I try to reset it a bit. Okay, so I use a stick. Get your broomstick around your house. Okay, and what you're going to do, as long as your body will allow this, if you're to that much pain that you can't raise your legs up, you need to go see somebody. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hook one knee over and then the other one, hopefully you can see me there, I'll put in this position just in case. Okay, so one is over, one is under, one is over. Okay, and I'm going to come up, and what I'm going to do is this one is going to push really hard in while this one pushes hard this way, keeping this stick straight. Make sure your stick is strong enough that you don't break it. Okay, and I'm pushing in that. And what I should feel is possibly the area, is your area right alongside here. I should feel some tightness, pressure. If you're not feeling a whole lot, you might not have issues there, so leave it alone. Don't do that. I might even feel a clunk happen. Okay, if you felt a clunk, don't panic. It just kind of reset itself a little bit. Excuse me. And then you want to go on the other side and do that as well. Okay, so sometimes you feel one side and you don't feel the other. That's fine. That just means that the one side needs your love a little bit more. He's out. Again, if you're not feeling anything, don't do these. Okay, so if I was feeling this side, I would come back and do this side a second time. Okay, good. And if it's really bad, I would possibly do that twice through the day. By the next day, you should feel that it's not as bad. Okay, so as you're doing it, you should find that there's less and less give there. There's less and less pressure there. Okay, so now we're going to stretch, do some stretches that you can do for the hip area and into the bum. Okay, so one you can do is simply rise up. Okay, hold your knees, use a strap, whatever you have to do. When you're doing this, don't pull so tight that your back arches. Keep that bottom of your tailbone on the ground if you can. Bring those knees in. You can go side to side a little bit if you want. Okay. If this is hard, put your feet up on the floor, or even modify it all together with your feet up on something if you need to. Okay. And just scoot yourself in there. Okay. And come in a little bit if you have to. Okay, you can come closer with one, closer for a while with the other, whatever you need to do. Get that little area stretched out a bit. Okay, so you would hold that as long as you want. You could pause if you're watching the video and you need to do it longer. Pause and then come back to me when you're done that one. Okay, another great one is the Piriformis Stretching, your figure 4. I'm going to do it on the chair, but you can hold your own legs or use a strap. So what I'm doing here is I'm pretty close. Okay, notice that I'm slightly, my knees are slightly this way compared to my hips. I'm going to bring my knee over if my body allows that. Okay, and then I'm going to push my foot off maybe. My tailbone is still on the ground. That is important, that you're not lifting up your lower back. Your tailbone is solid, pushed into the ground. Okay, and when you're doing that, you're going to feel that bum stretch. Your piriformis muscle, which is where your sciatic nerve runs for most of us, is in the heart of your glute. So it's extremely common that if you've never exercised and you suddenly start and you're getting a lot of glute exercises, that if you don't stretch it out, that you start to have some issues. Okay, so I like to bring this knee towards my opposite shoulder and back. Very gently, not bouncing. Okay, no ballistic stretching. Right there. I feel a really nice pull right there. I'm going to hang out there. If I can't do this, I'm going to use my band or strap and I'm going to hang on to it. Okay, and I'm just going to let it melt. And I might go back to some rocking. If you're trying the stretch and all you're feeling is pain in the front of your hip, then this might not be the perfect stretch for you. If it hurts your knee, this might not be the perfect stretch for you. I'll show you next what we can do with that. Okay, so very gentle. Feel that nice little pull. You always want to hold a stretch, of course, 30 to 45 seconds is the given time. If something is, that's for normal, okay? When they say hold the stretch or do the stretch, that's when you're not having issues. If you're having issues, feel free to hold this as long as you want. If you want to come right out of it, shake it off, give this guy a rest, and then come back into it, you can do that as well. Okay? But really, don't be afraid to be like, I'm going to read a book like this for a little while. If it's not hurting the front of your hips, do it. Okay, I'm going to switch sides. Again, if you need to go longer, just pause the video and do that. Okay, I'm going to come up the other side. It's normal that one side might feel a little bit tighter. There might be a slight imbalance in your muscles, or just the way that you walk, your gait might be throwing it off a little bit. And we aren't perfect. We're not going to be identical. Okay, so again, if you want to bring that knee across and back, if your body can handle that, maybe you're here for 4 or 5 minutes and then you start moving, or maybe you're here for 30 seconds and then you start moving, because when you move, it feels like it's just too deep. Okay, reminder, that tailbone is on the ground. If moving is irritating the SI joint, okay, that area where your hips attach to your spine, then moving is not for you. If you need a rest, bring it out straight or onto the ground. Okay. I'm just going to move over here so you can see how I'm going to stretch out my hip flexors. Okay. And this is also a way that you can stretch the glute a little bit without being so deep. So I'm going to bring one leg up. Okay. I'm going to hold on to it. If that hurts my legs at all, I'm going to use my strap. So I've got a band here. I'm just going to use that. Okay. So I'm just going to go below. Okay. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to straighten this other leg down to the ground if I can. I'm going to think, no pressure on my back. Okay. If it's pressure on your back, then obviously this is super tight and it's pulling you up. Okay. You don't want that. So keep that back on the ground if you can. Okay. Lengthen that leg if you need to. Okay. And by pulling this one up, you might be getting a bit of a glute stretch there. And you can switch, or you can stay there longer, whatever you need. Okay, I'm going to show you another deeper stretch that I use, and you only use this if it feels comfortable to do so. Okay, so what it stretches is the bum into the lower back, the lumbar spine. If you have osteoporosis, you might want to avoid this one. Okay, so it's okay to skip a certain stretch, but you want to try to do all of those ones that we just did. So I'm crossing over into my figure four, but I'm letting my knee go away so that my hip feels fairly open. And then I'm just going to drop down to the floor if I can, keeping the shoulder on the ground. Okay. If you don't feel it, bring those the knees and the foot up towards your head more on this side, and you should feel that really nice pull. Okay. Now, SI joints. The secret that I have found with your SI joint is through most of your movements, think about pushing your pubic bone forward so that it's kind of a little more even with your hips. Okay. And a physiotherapist, Celia, once said to me, present your pubis. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't quite understand what she was talking about. And really what she wanted me to do is just assume proper posture in my hips. And now I fully understand. For me, how I think about it is the edges of my hips, I push my pubic bone straight so that my back, my SI joint almost does this. Okay, the muscles almost come around. My bum tightens up a little bit naturally. I'm not forcing anything to happen. And since I've been doing that in a lot of my movements, it's rare that my SI joint bothers me. Okay, so just think about that sometimes. When you're in a position where it's like, oh man, I'm down here, my SI, just tuck your pubic bone forward. This will tighten up, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, so come up out of this, always gently. Again, if you have osteo, let's just skip that. Okay, or you can go like this. You can go gently, but you don't want to go to this extreme without a therapist working with you. Again, if you're not feeling it, come higher. And just allow that melting of your lower back into your bum. Okay, reminder, this arm, shoulder is down. It doesn't have to be out. Your hand can be wherever you want, but I don't want to roll up like this. I just took the stretch away. I want to stay down with that shoulder. After you do this session, if you did feel your SI joint when you did that stick, that reset, you might want to try it one more time. Just see what happens. See if you still have as much tension. You probably will have the same tension, not attention, but just finish it off. Okay. Again, I could lay here and read a book. Okay, I feel a really nice stretch. And I feel like I just want to melt into it. Reminder, you can always use your breath, right? Inhale, as you inhale, think of expanding your glute muscle in your back. Exhale and feel it shrink. Okay, if you just tuned in, what we're doing right now is just a quick video on how to deal with SI joint and sciatic issues, and I will post it on YouTube. Okay, so you come out of that. So those are the exercises I do. Now this is not for your hips, but I like to lead with open hip flexors. So what I do is lay on my tummy, relax my head, take a breath and relax my hamstrings, and I bring my feet up towards, my toes are relaxed, they're not pointed or flexed, and then I push my pelvis or my pubic bone down against the ground. Okay, and when I do that, I'm stretching the front of my thighs along with my hip flexors a little bit, because a lot of the stuff that we were just doing there tends to really tighten up the hip flexor, except for the one stretch. But there's a lot of bent legs. Again, the secret of this is not how high you get your legs. It's pushing that pubic bone down. Okay, pushing that pelvis into the ground. that's going to get you that stretch. Perfect. Okay, that is how I deal with my SI joint problems when they bother me and sciatic tightness. So I will post this. Hey, Beth. Okay, so take care. Stay tuned. Tomorrow is Friday. Won't see you then.